Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Rocket Kone Aimo Remastered. This mouse was released at the end of 2019 as a replacement for the Rocket Kone Aimo, which was released in 2017. Taking a look at the website, it doesn't really tell us too much information about comparing the two mice. And it seems like the only major change is bumping up the DPI from 12,000 to 16,000. Of course, there's also minor changes such as a nicer thumb area and a slightly different texture grip. We'll take a deeper look at all of these changes. Welcome back to another review from Reviews for Life. Let's begin. The mouse is packaged in a black box with some words on it. Opening up the box, you get a quick installation guide and the mouse. Compared with the original Kone Aimo, I'm surprised to see that Rocket decided not to include any stickers or posters this time around. Physically, the mouse looks exactly the same for both versions. The only difference is that the remastered version has black lettering and a smaller black icon. Personally, I like this look a lot more. It's very subtle, but effective. The remastered version has a little bit more of a matte finish. This texture is really hard to describe, and the best I can say is that the original feels slightly more glossy than the remastered. If you weren't comparing them side by side, it would be really hard to tell the two apart just based on texture. Just like the previous version, the coating covers all the parts where your hands make contact with the mouse. Once again, Rocket has included several LED options for the mouse. Personally, I prefer having the lights off, but it's there if you want them. Now, onto the fun part, the sensors. On the specs page, it seems like the remastered mouse is capable of doing 16,000 DPI, while the previous version can only do 12,000. But of course, if you take a look at their Owl Eye information page, they actually recommend only using the DPIs between 400 and 3000. But this information doesn't actually tell me whether or not the sensor has improved. I want to see if they made any real improvements. So I decided to build a small little setup that tests the consistency of both these mice. The test checks how consistent the mouse is after moving 1 inch horizontally. In order to do this, I placed 2 dumbbells on either side of the mouse. These act as anchors, so I don't overshoot or move the mouse too little. This way, I can get a consistent 1 inch every time I move the mouse. Since the mouse is curved, I used the plastic case to create a flat surface along the side of the mouse. The ruler placed along the side is used to double check that I hit 1 inch every single time. Moving the mouse from start to the right and back to start counts as 1 cycle, and I did this for 50 cycles. Since I set the DPI on both mice to be 400, ideally we will only see 400 points after moving the mouse 1 inch. And here are the results. We can see that the original actually moved 417 points, while the remastered moved 422 points. Does that mean the new sensor is actually worse than the previous one? Well, in this case, yeah, it does. But you see, I was using a piece of paper as a mousepad instead of an actual mousepad. So once I realized this, I swapped it over to a hard mousepad and redid the tests. Taking a look at the new results, we see that the remastered got 375 average DPI, while the original got 386 DPI. But that's not the end of the story, because what we're really interested in is how consistent each mouse is in reaching their average DPI. This is where standard deviation comes in. Standard deviation simply measures the average amount each of the data points differs from the mean. The remastered had a standard deviation of 1.6, while the original had a standard deviation of 1.7. So what does this data tell us? Not much, really. These sensors are pretty much the same, and practically speaking, it'd be really hard to tell the difference between the two. Basically, both mice just need a little bit of a bump in order to obtain a 400 dpi on the hard surface. On the other hand, on a paper surface, both mice just needs to be turned down a little bit. Of course, every mouse is slightly different because of manufacturing processes, and so it's best to test this on your own surface before dialing in your final DPI numbers. How about the wear and tear? Well, after using the original Kone Aimo for a year, it has accumulated a lot of gunk between the crevices of the buttons. Also, the mouse wheel doesn't feel as tactile as a brand new one, but that's expected wear and tear, and it still works perfectly fine. I expect to see similar wear patterns on the remastered version, since the design language is the same for both these mice. So, what are my final thoughts for this mouse? Honestly, it's a really, really good mouse. At the time, I purchased the original for 62 Canadian or about 46 USD. This is well within the price of an enthusiast gaming mouse. If you're looking to switch over to the Rocket Kone Aimo and can't decide between the remastered or the original, I would choose whichever one is cheaper. Functionally, they are exactly the same, and you won't notice any differences between either one of them. What if you already own the original mouse? Well, personally, I wouldn't upgrade to the remastered version just to get the latest and greatest. There's not enough additional features to justify a brand new mouse. If you got suggestions on what I should review next, leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.